Someone drops a DA PowerPoint. Oh no! She's a Wisconsin mama with 5 kids strong. Saw the school board meeting and said something's wrong. Coffee in her hand, Constitution in the bag. Walking through Ozaki waving Liberty's flag. Started asking questions, wouldn't leave it alone. School board saw her number lighting up the phone. They said, Scarlett, please, it's 9:15. She said, I got 3 more questions and I'm using my time. Scarlett Johnson, Moms for Liberty, coming to the meeting with receipts ×3. Parental rights and a microphone. You better have your homework done when Scarlett gets home. Scarlett Johnson, sound the alarm. 5-kid mama causing political harm to anybody thinking parents won't appear. Surprise! She brought the whole crew here. Oh! She sees the word woke, starts cracking her knuckles. Somebody in the back nervously chuckles. Day committee scheduled meeting at 4. Scarlett somehow knew about it 3 days before. She's posting online, she's reading the files, digging through policies for miles and miles. Somebody whispers, maybe she won't see page 9. Scarlett kicks open the metaphorical door. I read the whole thing online. How many kids? 5. What county? Ozaukee. What does she want? Parental rights. How long is tonight's school board meeting? Oh, Lord. Ran for the school board, fought a recall fight, arguing education policy day and night. She's been called controversial, she's heard it before. That just makes her talk about education some more. Then came a lawsuit over words she'd said. Scarlett kept fighting straight ahead. Appeals court ruling finally came around. Somewhere in Wisconsin you could hear the sound. Free speech! Eagle screech. She's got 5 kids, a calendar packed, school policy printed and highlighted facts. You thought the meeting would finish by 8. Buddy, you're staying late. Scarlett Johnson, Moms for Liberty. Wisconsin mama making political history. Love her or hate her, one thing is clear. She's definitely gonna make her opinion heard here. From Acorn meetings to the internet fight, she's arguing politics morning and night. 5 kids at home and another post to write. Scarlett's back online, Tony. Okay, our next public commenter looks at paper. Scarlett Johnson. Entire board. Shit.
Red flame in the cold night glow, Wisconsin wind and the stars all know. She's got fire where her heart should be, Liberty's call, she answers free. Stepping hills, but she's still inside, no fear, no doubt, she won't hide. Capital lights on a battle cry, a mama lying, watch her rise. Words are weapons, truth a blade, in the chaos she's unafraid. Standing tall, she breaks the chain, crimson faith runs through her veins. Oh, they whisper you can't change it, she smiles, watch me rearrange it. Every vote, every voice ignite, for the mothers who won't lose sight. Lover Scarlett rising through the storm and smoke, voice of reason, every chain she broke. Liberty beats in her chest so loud, a freedom queen, a mother style. Crimson lights, Republican gold, this is the story the future told. Scarlett's flame, unbreakable, free. She's the power, the legacy. Moms united, hearts aligned, defending truth, they will not blind. Children's voices light the sky, they're the reason, they're the why. Born to blaze in the northern snow, Wisconsin roots, watch her grow. Constitution's ink on her soul, patriot mind control. No, through. Every scarlet rising through the storm and smoke, the voice of reason, every chain she broke. Liberty beats in her chest so wild, a freedom queen, a mother style. Crimson lights, Republican gold. This is the story the future told. Scarlet flame, unbreakable, free. Mom for liberty, eternally. Mom for liberty, eternally. Yeah. Red flame shining bright. Scarlet's name, liberty's light, forever fight. Every scarlet rise, forever fight.
Thank you so much. First of all, it's a real honor to be here. Thank you to everyone who made this possible. I cannot believe how wonderfully executed this has been by Moms for Liberty and, of course, Turning Point USA. So about a month ago, I was right here. I left the stage in New York City for Fox and Friends, took a flight to Minneapolis, and drove right to this spot. And here was the Faith and Freedom Conference just outside of here. And when I was there helping Michael Alfonso, my son-in-law, who's running for Congress, I met a beautiful young woman named Ella. And I also met her mom. And as I started talking to her about her situation and what had happened to her, Michael and Evita had introduced me to them, I became enraged. But I also had an idea. I said, have you ever met Riley Gaines? And she's like, no, I know who she is, but I had never met her. And I said, you know, we should do something with Riley Gaines, because Riley is one of those people who's been coming on Fox and Friends, and she bravely spoke out against transgender or men pretending they're women in sports. And I've always said, and Riley will tell you it's true, she is the #1 feminist, the real feminist in America. And so I really wanted to make that happen. I can't believe in 1 month what Turning Point USA and what Moms for Liberty were able to put together here to support Ella and her parents and every parent out there and every student out there who cares about this issue. Our next guest is somebody who reminds me of Ella and also of Riley, because she is so brave. Her name is Scarlett Johnson, and she is the ambassador, that's her title, at Moms for Liberty. And she also has an amazing podcast called Unleash that everyone should be listening to. She is a force of nature in Wisconsin. She's proof that you get moms mad and you get action. And that's what she has done and continue to do throughout the state of Wisconsin. And I'm just really proud to call her my friend. Scarlett Johnson.
Rachel is here for the same reason that many of moms and dads are here, because she knows in her heart that something wrong is happening, and that fighting for our daughters, fighting for our girls, fighting for truth and sanity in an insane world, it's something we have to do. This is our call, our hero's journey. Every Western tradition starts with that, the hero's call. The question is, will you answer it? And I look around this room and I see a whole bunch of heroes who have answered the call. You've heard Ella's pleas, because in the very first school board speech she gave, and I was proud to work with her on that, and she worked so hard. She said, can you please hear my cries? Will you hear my pleas? And that girl, she represented so many other girls who they couldn't get up to speak. They were so afraid. So Ella did it. And I continue to be amazed by her every day. That this girl can do what so many adults can't do. She's educated enough to understand that boys can't become girls, and that boys don't belong in our spaces, and it's unfair for girls to have to compete against boys. Unfortunately, the followers of Tampon Tim, who like to hand out my gender dolls where they can swap out the genitalia to 4-year-olds, these people, there's a mind virus. And it's infected a lot of people, particularly girls. Because girls, they want to make people happy. It's just in our nature. So, we're joyful warriors. So we're happy. But we're warriors, and we're going to come and get you if you mess with our kids. And that's what we should be doing. That's our role. When you see children hurting, you don't get to say, oh, that's not my place. You don't get to say, oh, it's just not the time. Mean people would say really bad things about me on social media. Well, they say terrible things about me, but they're weird. They're really weird. Have you looked at them? They're strange. And they hate me. They hate the country I love. They're trying to destroy my way of life and civilization. And worst of all, they're coming for my kids because they don't have any of theirs. So what do I care what they think about me? They don't like me? Well, I don't like them. So we're even. Why would I let the opinion of people that are so dumb that they don't know what a woman is, and they think men can get pregnant, and they'll say so before a congressional hearing. Why would I care what they think? What matters is what God thinks. What matters is what my kids think. And I see so many young people here today, and they're looking to us. And if we don't have the courage to stand, how are they going to have the courage to stand? If our girls don't stand up for themselves now, when will they? When will they suddenly have the courage to do so? If we don't, we've got to help them have the courage now. So real quick, I'm going to talk about what happened in New Richmond, and you all know, but just in case, because we're recording this, in case you haven't heard, you live under a rock, I've got here, because I always bring the receipts. Here are the maps. These are the maps that the New Richmond High School pasted all over the doors and walls of the high school when the girls didn't want to share a bathroom with a boy. They were given a map to a single stall bathroom. Hundreds of girls go find a janitor's closet or teacher's lounge, go suffer a humiliation ritual. Make sure everyone knows who you are. Oh, you're the bigot, right? Then they go on social media where they make a I Hate Moms for Liberty, I Hate Scarlett Johnson Club. Oh, that's so original. And they get to post with no names, but you know who they are because a lot of them work in the school district. And they say mean things about Ella, and they say mean things about kids, and that prevents the kids from speaking up. But it didn't stop you guys. I saw something so special with New Richmond that I have not seen anywhere else, and I've seen a lot in 6 years. You guys have something special. Look around. Look around all these people. You have something special. You have gumption. You have courage. And courage begets courage. You can take on the New Richmond School Board, but you have to keep fighting. You can't just show up to one school board meeting. You got to show up to more. You got to email more. You got to vote. You got to vote for candidates that are standing with our girls. And you've got to hold them accountable. Now, New Richmond, there's good news. There's good news. The bad news is they have a policy in which they changed the definition of sex to include, well, whatever gender, so-called gender, a kid feels like on any given day. And there's hundreds of them. They changed that definition, and that threw the doors of your daughter's bathrooms and locker rooms, their athletic teams, wide open. These people have no courage. I just watched the last school board meeting. Oh, our hands are tied. Oh, we don't know what to do. Because it would take gumption, the gumption that you guys have, to do the right thing, and they just won't do it. Despite the big win of the Trump administration initiating a Title IX investigation on March 5th. That's huge. In a month. You guys did that in a month. And then you guys did something else I rarely see. You formed a parent coalition and you sued them. So you didn't stop. You went to the school board meeting. Then you went to vote in April, and you kicked Brian Schaefer off the school board. And that smug smile, oh, his smug smile, that's long gone. And the number one vote-getting candidate was Moms for Liberty endorsed. She's wonderful, and she's under fire. You guys need to have her back. Because now she is going to bat for you. You need to have her back. Just our school board members, they need us. And so does Ella. And so does her mom and her dad. Because we're up against an existential threat. We're up against something very bad. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We are up against a zeitgeist that is hungry for our children, and they can't have them. Take your gender dolls and go shove it where the sun don't shine, because we don't want them. Not here. Not in this town. They came for a town that voted overwhelmingly for Trump, a town that knows what a woman is, a town that is going to stare them right back in the eye and say, you know what? You move. We're not going anywhere. You move. And you got to keep doing that. You got to keep showing up the way that you are. So let's look at these maps and remember what they did to the girls in this community. A humiliation ritual for which there should be a reckoning. And I think that reckoning is coming from my friend, Ella Frei. Woo! Ella. Ella proves you will only have as much tyranny as you're willing to tolerate. You will only have as much injustice as you're willing to bend a knee to. This girl, she didn't bend the knee. She was 16, she didn't bend the knee. You have no excuse. So stand with Ella and be like Ella.
Thank you, Scarlett. Hello, everyone. My name is Ella Frei. I grew up right here in New Richmond. This is my school. A lot of you have watched me grow up in this room. For most of my life, school felt normal. That changed in my junior year. A male student started using the girls' restroom. Freshman girls, 14 years old, were scared to walk in. At first, my friends and I stayed quiet. Then it got worse. When a friend told me she felt intimidated, I got scared too. I started holding it in until I got home. I wondered if the locker room was next. Would I have to change in front of him? Would he end up on my volleyball team? I went to the school board and told them the truth. Most of them wouldn't even look at me. The very next day, they put up maps directing the girls to single-stall bathrooms. 2 of them were in the teacher's lounge. They would rather displace over 300 female students than ask one biological male to use the private restroom. That doesn't make sense. I was 16. I stopped using the bathroom in my own school. I received threats. Some of the adults who worked in this building joined in online. And when we finally filed the lawsuit, the district's lawyer called what happened to me purely about discomfort. Discomfort is a feeling. A boy who feels like a girl is feeling discomfort. A girl losing a private space federal law guarantees them is not a feeling. It's a decision this district made. He wanted the girls' spaces. This school has 4 single-stall bathrooms. Give him one of those. Every other girl keeps what she had. Nobody's embarrassed, nobody's afraid, and it's over before you know it. Instead, they moved us girls because a boy was experiencing discomfort. They hired lawyers to make sure a boy was comfortable, even if hundreds of girls were displaced. This just doesn't make sense. I've been told I'm not educated enough on this issue. I've been told that I need to learn more, listen more, and understand more. There are adult men and women who coach in the WNBA who are too cowardly to say what they know is true in their hearts. They are basically standing in front of this country saying 2 + 2 = 5. A 5-year-old is educated enough to understand that boys and girls are different. Boys and girls are physically different. That's not hate, that's biology. On average, males have greater muscle mass, greater bone density, and greater lung capacity, and greater strength. That's why we have separate sports. That's why we have separate locker rooms and bathrooms. Title IX was written to protect those differences so girls could have a fair chance. When the Supreme Court said on June 30th that sex under Title IX means biological sex, I was so pumped up. Not because it was complicated, but because it was finally common sense. I want to thank 2 women who have given me strength. The OG of girls' rights, Briley Gaines. She went first on national stage. She was forced into a locker room with a male athlete and then told to be quiet about it. She refused. And when that happened, everyone keeps watching her stand up, and it showed me that one girl telling the truth can force the country to look. And then there's Sophie Cunningham. Sophie is a professional athlete. She's at the peak of her career. She has sponsorships, a platform, and everything to lose. When she was asked about this issue, she didn't hide it. She said, I want to protect girls in the locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men. She called it common sense. And when the attacks came, she didn't apologize. She said, I said what I said. That is courage. To the people who call girls like Sophie and I hateful or uneducated, we see you. You are so committed to a feeling that you are willing to erase the physical reality of an entire sex. You would rather shame a teenage girl for wanting privacy than ask one male student to use a different bathroom. That's not compassion. That's cruelty dressed up in kindness. And we are done pretending otherwise. To the girls... To the girls in this room, especially the quiet ones, I need you to hear me. You are not alone, and you are not wrong. I chose to speak up first in this school so you wouldn't have to, but I don't want to keep standing up here by myself. The cost of speaking up drops when the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 10th girl shows up. That is the only way that this changes. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for the same basic dignity that was normal for generations before us. Private bathrooms, private locker rooms, and fair teams. The right to be a girl without having to apologize for it. We are not surrendering our bathrooms or our locker rooms or our teams. Not 1 inch, not tomorrow, not next year, not ever. I'm 17 years old. I should be worrying about volleyball, about school, about normal things. Instead, I am standing up here in front of my own community, fighting for the right to use the bathroom without fear, for privacy in our locker rooms, for fairness on our teams, and for the simple right to live not by lies. That is not the childhood any of us wanted for the girls in this room. But I will keep standing, I will keep speaking, and I will keep fighting, because every girl who comes after me deserves better than what we are given. Our privacy matters, our safety matters, and our futures matter, and we are not done.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Unleashed with me, Scarlett Johnson, presented by Moms for Liberty. Now, before I bring out my guests, Payton McNabb, Ella Frei, and Briley Lechner, three girls who already paid the price because adults can't define what a woman is. I need to tell you what happened this week. So this is something I want to start doing, kind of going over the big stories of the week that I've been talking about, that Moms for Liberty has been posting about, all on social media. And so, and give our little kind of take on things. So I want to start today with announcements by the U.S. Department of Education. I think they're pretty important. So this week, the U.S. Department of Education sent every federally funded school district in America a Dear Colleague letter. But this is a Dear Colleague letter that we can get behind. You know, we had President Obama's Dear Colleague letter and President Biden's Dear Colleague letter, and there were big differences. For example, in 2014, when President Barack Obama sent a Dear Colleague letter, there was disastrous consequences. So for over a decade, these Dear Colleague letters from the Department of Education were used to shove ideology into classrooms and shove parents out of classrooms. Again, Obama 2014, discipline by racial statistics. Neutral rules were treated as racist if the numbers were wrong. In Obama 2016, gender identity is now classified as a category in Title IX that is protected, changing the traditional definition of sex, male and female. Bathrooms, locker rooms, and overnight trips opened up. And then enter Biden 2021, and boom, we've got this explosion of gender ideology. Gender identity is considered now protected, and actually protected plus, like I've said before, rights plus to kids who identify as a sex other than that which they were born, which is a very sad thing. It's mental illness, but like the Supreme Court just recently affirmed on June 30th, it's not a protected class. It's not protected by the Equal Protection Clause. Gender identity is not equivalent to sex or race. It's different, and it doesn't have that high level of scrutiny. Of course, there are school boards all over this country that refuse to admit that because they are more aligned with their religious like beliefs, this cult like belief, gender and gender nonconformity, and the hundreds, if not thousands, of different identities. This is a cult. This is a cult that we're up against. Same playbook, same letters, but there's something different. Before, ignore biology, ignore behavior in classrooms. The reason why our teachers do not have a lot of tools in their toolbox to discipline students is because of the 2014 Dear Colleague letter that made doing anything that would kind of help the classroom from disruptive students, it's racist. It's all racist. And so this is remove SSROs, security officers, school security officers are removed because those are racist, to any disciplinary actions, all of that. Ignore parents or risk funding. And back, gosh, I'm old enough to remember just a few years ago when school boards used to care about losing federal funding. Now they all collectively say, the woke ones say, oh, shrug, they don't care. They don't care if they're going to lose federal funding. They'll find the money somewhere. I mean, these are the same school districts that are perpetually putting forward referendums for operational budgets, for buildings, to pay salaries, but risking 10% of their funding federal funds. Oh, that's a shrug. We're going to talk more about that. So, but now is a new day. We have a new administration. We have the Trump administration. And even in the first Trump administration, he was not as bold as he is the second time around. Now, Trump did reverse some of this stuff, but I think the awareness of the true nature of the culture war that we're in and how insidious it is. I know at this time I was in the dark about it, and I think it's a new day, and we've got an administration that is really trying to reverse, many years of damage and to clean the DEI swamp, and it's hard. But good steps forward. Frank E. Miller put out a letter. There was some news release, some press conferences, and a news release here, and we can see this. This is the Dear Colleague letter, August 26th. This is a letter. It's back to school week, so the time is right. And actually earlier this week, there was a Rose Garden ceremony at the White House where President Trump and Secretary Linda McMahon spoke to students and moms and dads. And we were privileged and blessed to be a part of that event. We had moms and kids there from Moms for Liberty and our partner organizations. Regular moms, dads, kids were present. They had a great time. We put up on our social media how they had some goodies from the White House, which is always fun. But this letter during back to school week was to superintendents and to school boards and to administrators, to teachers. It reminded them of two laws that have been on the books for decades, and that schools have been treating like optional suggestions. And that's FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, where parents have the right to inspect the education records that the school actually maintains. Okay, that the school actually maintains. Not the sanitized parent portal, but actual records. And I'll show you a few things here. FERPA means that parents can review all records, that they can opt out of sensitive surveys, and written consent is needed for sensitive surveys. No hidden gender files. And this is really important. This letter is really important. According to this letter from the desk of the SPPO, FERPA does not distinguish between a student's official record, cumulative file, or unofficial records. And that's from Frank Miller. Why is it important? Well, let's talk about Wendy Peterson. Wendy Peterson is a parent in Winneconne, Wisconsin. She asked her district for her child's file. What she got was a parent portal, grades, attendance, and the name on a birth certificate. What the file she actually wanted was the plan, the pronouns, the counselor notes, the secret file that the school had, and the file that the school wouldn't show her. These other files, they were treated as not part of the official record, as if putting it in a different folder meant there was a different law, that FERPA no longer applied. Like thousands of other parents, she and her husband suffered in silence, unaware, confused about her rights as a parent. She only discovered that the school was continuing down the path of affirming her son's new chosen identity as a female because she was accidentally sent an email where her son's chosen name was on it. And that kind of sent her out on this mission to find out what was happening. And she explicitly asked teachers, principals, superintendent, everyone, school board, everyone, to please don't affirm my son. He's going through something. And we're going to talk about this in more detail. So this is just a little bit about what is going to be a bigger story that I'm going to talk about. But her son they were providing counseling, help. Her son had gone through a tragic situation in his life, absolutely tragic and horrifying. And the parents were pleading with the school administrators and anyone who would listen, please, our son is going through something. Don't affirm this identity. You're only contributing to a decline in his mental health. Well, they didn't listen. But maybe now there will be more school districts that listen because of the actions that are being taken by the Trump administration, by the Department of Education, by the Office of Civil Rights. I really hope that they're listening because it's very, very clear. There is no federal duty to hide any files. There never was. FERPA says the opposite. Every superintendent in the country is now on notice. And I really do hope they're listening. On a lighter note, the Department of Education released this graphic this week. No men in women's sports. Love this graphic. It's cute. And we agree 100%. Absolutely. Then we had some big breaking news. Moms for Liberty sues a school district over their gender transition policy. This is huge. While Washington was putting districts on notice, a school board in New Jersey decided that Supreme Court rulings on parental rights don't apply in their county. Well, we think they're wrong. On August 24th, Moms for Liberty, represented by the Thomas More Society, filed a federal lawsuit against the school district of the Chathams. Policy 514.7 lets school officials conceal a child's asserted gender transition from parents. The district was asked to change it. It refused. School starts next week, and they still will not even allow an opt-out regarding crazy radical gender theory in class, all of the things. And they are saying that they will continue to secretly transition kids. If the kids say that they have a new chosen identity, they're going to affirm it, even if the parents explicitly say, don't do it, no matter what the age. Okay, no, we're not just talking about high school kids here. This policy, well, oftentimes you'll see it reflected in high school. More and more, we're seeing it in middle school, in elementary school. I just interviewed last week Luis Rivera, who was talking about how this policy in Massachusetts, in his area, was being applied in third grade to 9-year-olds, and how his daughter had been victimized by these policies. And again, another school district that just doesn't think that federal law, the guidance from the Department of Education, from the Office of Civil Rights, the Department of Justice, FERPA doesn't think any of that applies to them. They think that they're above the law, and we do not believe that. So this is great news. This is a big deal, and I'm really grateful to the New Jersey parents and the Moms for Liberty New Jersey chapters and the state legislative Moms for Liberty in New Jersey, and all the work that the boots on the ground have done to help these parents and to facilitate this lawsuit. It was just announced. There'll be a lot more, but this is a big deal because the reasoning, all of the arguments that I'm hearing in New Jersey, it's exactly the same in Wisconsin. We're going to have Ella Frei on, and New Richmond same thing. They have a policy that allows boys and girls bathrooms and locker rooms and shower rooms in girls sports. And they're claiming that it's the law. They have to do it. They have to keep this non-discrimination policy that inserts gender identity into Title IX definitions and provides protections to quote unquote transgender students that should not be applied to them as per the US Supreme Court in their most recent decisions. And there was a really good post today by Laura Powell, who's an attorney, and she said, isn't it interesting that these same school districts, these elected members, they will cry about, oh, how expensive litigation is. It's just too expensive. They absolutely cannot afford to institute policies that would protect women and girls, that would protect women and girls sports. Too expensive. We can't afford it because we'll get sued. Yet when it comes to defending the policies they have on the books, the policies that violate federal law, the policies that parents don't want, that they can certainly change. They're being asked to change by the federal government, by the Biden administration, by the Department of Education, by the Office of Civil Rights, by the DOJ. Yet they refuse to comply. They're getting sued. New Richmond is getting, the school district of New Richmond is getting sued. They're undergoing from the Office of Civil Rights, they're undergoing a Title IX investigation. All of this is costly, but they'll do it to defend what they like, to defend these radical woke policies. They will spend whatever's, there's no check too large, but ask them to protect women and girls, and they'll say, oh, it's too expensive, we can't do it, we can't afford that litigation. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Now, finally, I'm going to talk about this because we are going to be discussing this gentleman here, who I think is the hero, Enes Kanter, freedom banned from the basketball stadium in Chicago. This is him courtside at the Fever Sky game. Sky owner Michael Alter later called him a potential threat for wearing this shirt. And when he was accosted, when a WNBA player from Chicago, I'll find the name, basically started screaming at him, he stood up and he just sort of lifted his arms like this, and he's got a large, wingspan. And they said that they kicked him out of the game and said that was a threat. I mean, if he was playing for any of those teams and he had to block, he'd have his arms up, right? I mean, and since the WNBA cannot define what a woman is, and he's eligible for the draft just because he says he's a woman, I mean, that's their standard. So I don't know why it would be threatening, something that he would be doing in a game all the time. There's no difference between men and women according to the WNBA. Just simply the declaration that one is a woman suffices. You just have to say, I feel like a woman, and that's my deeply held identity. I was born in the wrong body. So that's what Enes is saying. He was born in the wrong body. Wouldn't you know it? Like, the doctors got it wrong. His silly parents told him he was a boy, and he just always felt like he was a woman deep down. And now he's finally expressing his true gender. And this is how they're treating him. I mean, look at, he's wearing the shirt. Adult human. Yeah, I love it. This is true. He knows what a woman is. A woman is an adult human female, and he is not one. And we know that, and he knows that, but the WNBA doesn't seem to know that. And frankly, we all can see right through this. They're just upset that he is proving a point. They look ridiculous, and they're acting more and more ridiculous And the more that they act in such a crazy way, the more that we see right through them. They called him a threat. Sophie Cunningham said the girls should not have to share a locker room or a court with a biological male. The WNBA held a task force and still could not define a woman. Nope. Several days they just pondered and pondered, but they couldn't figure out what is so easily expressed right here on his t-shirt. A woman, noun, adult, human, female. Maybe they'll watch this and then suddenly the light it'll click. Oh, now we know what a woman is and we can avoid all of this. This isn't a sports story. This is it goes in line with Wendy Peterson's story. The policy in New Jersey. The adults in charge have lost the plot. They'd rather police parents, police Enes and his shirt, police girls, rather than tell the truth. And that's absolutely wrong. So thanks for listening to some of the big stories that have been in social media this week. Now, let's get on with the show. So tonight, I have the pleasure of talking with Payton McNabb again, 3-sport athlete, a biological male on the girls' volleyball team, spiked a ball into her head. She suffered traumatic brain injury, a brain bleed, partial paralysis. Now she's recovered a lot, but she will never fully recover. And she'll never be able to play sports the way she once did. She lost a lot that day, and it was completely preventable. She has now become a leading voice for sanity. She's become an activist for change, an inspiration to girls all over the world. She was with President Trump, and she was actually able to stand up. He honored her. She was able to talk before Congress. She sat next to Usha Vance. Amazing, but it doesn't deflect from the trauma and the things that she had to go through and that she still has to go through because a boy was allowed to play on the high school volleyball league, and the males are much stronger than females, and it's truly allowing dangerous situations when you're allowing a boy to pretend he's a girl and allowing him to participate in competitive female athletics. We're also going to talk with Ella Frei from New Richmond, Wisconsin. She's been on a whole bunch of times. She's a great friend. She's the named plaintiff in the lawsuit that I was talking about, New Richmond. She has been outspoken about boys and girls' bathrooms. She is the one that tore down the map that the administrators taped to the walls of the New Richmond High School, where they showed the girls where they could go to a single stall if they weren't happy with a boy in their bathroom. And she just ripped that map up and said, no way, I'm going to fight. And she's become Wisconsin's Riley Gaines, and just recently met Riley Gaines in Wisconsin and was on the Riley Gaines podcast. And she was amazing. Everyone who meets her just loves her. She's just the sweetest thing. She refuses to suffer humiliation rituals, as does my final guest, Briley Lechner, who is the youngest. She's 16. She's from Monroe, Michigan. She unknowingly competed against a male athlete in volleyball. She shared a locker room with this male, and there was a noticeable difference in this so-called girl. You know, they're kids and they're wondering, and they assume, I guess that really is a girl. Turns out wasn't. Parents found out after the fact, girls found out after the fact, after several games, several times that she had to share a locker room with this boy. But she is fighting back. Title IX was written for them. FERPA was written for parents. The Department of Education just reminded every district in America that a secret folder is still a record. Moms for Liberty just sued a New Jersey district that thinks the Supreme Court is just, their rulings are just suggestions, helpful hints. It's funny how the defenders of democracy and rule of law, when it's something they don't like, suddenly none of that matters. Isn't that interesting? And a WNBA owner just banned a man from the Chicago arena just because his t-shirt said what we all know to be true, and what everyone knew to be true until 5 minutes ago, that a woman is an adult human female. End of discussion. It would be comedy if girls weren't paying the price. It would be absolutely shocking to think that adults are keeping secrets with kids from their parents, and that's somehow okay in a public school system. I mean, every time I say it, I think, how can I be saying this? But the thing that never happens, it's happening. Happening in Wisconsin has happened a bunch of times. The Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has defended, and New Jersey, Colorado, Washington State, California, Kansas, everywhere. Red, blue, it's happening everywhere. We do not co-parent with the government. We do not co-parent with the school's counselor's office. We do not co-parent with a league, NCAA, or any state affiliate league that manages and sets up the rules. The associations like WIAA in Wisconsin, these associations that manage high school sports, we don't co-parent with them either. We're the parents, and we know what a woman is, and we know what our rights are. And I'm grateful that there are still adults in the room sometimes. So, all right, now let's get to our interview. So tonight on Unleashed, we're going to stop pretending. 3 young women are on the show tonight who refused to stay silent, who refused to bend a knee, and who stood strong. And now they are recognized nationally and in their own communities. They have made so much changes. It's unbelievable. And I'm so happy to call them my friend. So please welcome Payton McNabb, Ella Frei, and Briley Lechner. What's happening right now isn't theory for them. This isn't gender ideology for them. It's something that they have dealt with in real life. It is absolutely real, and it's happening. So let's bring them all on. Payton, Ella, and Briley. Hi, ladies. I'm so glad you could join me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Payton, you've been doing this for a long time, and pre-show when we were getting ready, I heard you talking to the girls, Ella and Briley. They are 17. Well, Briley, you're just about to turn 17. And you were talking about the fact that this whole journey started when you were 17. How do you feel now as you look at these 2 girls, and now you're their mentor, you're the person that they're looking up to?
You know, it really is just like such a special thing. I mean, these 2 girls are definitely a lot more bold and outspoken than I was at their age to start out. And I definitely went into it very nervous. And as I'm sure they felt all the feelings. And it is a hard place, especially when you're 17 years old. I mean, you're about to be at the end of high school, you're going into college, and you have just so much on your mind, and just like the future is all in front of you, and then you're having to deal with all of this on top of it, and it's just definitely not an easy situation. And I feel like it's something that I can really relate to them on, because it's just a lot when you have crazy people coming after you for saying something as simple as biological reality is real. It really is. It's such a weird position to be in, especially when you're at the age where you know better, but also you know that the adults should be stepping in for you.
Yeah, I mean, none of you are activists by choice. You didn't think, oh, one day I want to be in politics, especially when you're in high school. That's not a decision you made. You are athletes, you are girls, you are students in high school, and you were forced into this fight because adults who were in power, adults, and Payton, when this started for you, we had a different president. We had President Biden. This all started because the adults didn't do their job. They didn't protect women and girls. Many still aren't. This wasn't something you decided to do. I know there's haters that say, oh, you're just in it for the spotlight. Or Ella, for you, for the puppies. That inside joke, Ella had someone say online that she was getting paid in puppies to do this work.
What? That's crazy. Yeah. I wish I was.
Even puppies, yes, that's a new one. Had not heard that one yet. But you were all like thrust into this, not by choice, and definitely not you, Payton. I'm going to play for everyone a clip. It's you testifying in DC, and I think it sets the stage for this whole conversation.
Here to share my story. I'm a female athlete from Murphy, North Carolina, who had my love of playing sports taken away from me. Since 2022, following a serious but avoidable injury, I've been speaking across the country, sharing my story and advocating for protections for women and girls' hard-earned rights to equal opportunity, fair play, privacy, and safety. Like many other little girls, I grew up playing sports. As soon as I could walk, my dad enrolled me and my siblings in various sports. I'm incredibly thankful for that because participating in athletics has afforded me so many life lessons and given me valuable skills. In high school, I played volleyball, basketball, and my favorite sport, softball. I was excited about the prospect of playing softball in college, but that day never came. My athletic career was hindered and cut short because I was forced to compete against a male athlete on an opposing high school women's volleyball team on September 1st, 2022. I went into this game knowing that there was a male opponent, but I felt helpless and had no idea what to do. Neither I, my team, nor the administration agreed that we should be playing against a male, but the game went on. Toward the end of the game, the male athlete went up to spike the ball, and it came right at my face, slamming into my head. The force of the ball knocked me down unconscious, while my body lay in a fencing position on the court. A fencing position is how your body reacts to a serious brain injury. Everything was dark to me. The auditorium was absolutely quiet, and my teammates were scared. That was my last day playing volleyball. Medical professionals informed me and my family of the heavy news that I suffered a traumatic brain injury, a brain bleed, and my body was experiencing partial paralysis on my right side. The doctors couldn't confirm how long it would take for my body to recover. It could take months or even years, and they couldn't confirm whether I'd 100% ever be back. While I've learned to navigate my new normal, there are several challenges that I deal with on a daily basis. Severe headaches, balance issues, vision impairment, and as my parents say, I'm just not the same kid. It is completely aggravating because the injury I suffered was 100% avoidable if only my rights as a female athlete had been more important than a man's feelings. Since then, I've chosen to use my voice to advocate for girls nationwide, especially for my younger sister, Avery. I've decided to turn my pain into purpose. I played a role in helping pass the Fairness in Women's Sports Act in North Carolina legislature, although it was initially vetoed by former Governor Roy Cooper, who ironically has 3 daughters of his own. Since speaking out, I've heard from so many girls. They see it happening in their schools, male athletes competing in women's sports. The fear of being severely injured by a male athlete who is undisputedly, on average, bigger, faster, and stronger than the average female is real. I want y'all to know that this issue is very real. I didn't realize how big it was until it personally affected me. What we are talking about is reality and basic truth. Men have an inherent biological advantage over women when it comes to sports. The advantage is particularly prominent respect to the activities where speed, size, power, strength, or cardiorespiratory characteristics determine performance. Males jump approximately 25% higher than females. Males throw about 25% further than females. Males run 11% faster than females. Males accelerate about 20% faster than females. Males punch 30 to 162% harder than females. Males are around 30% stronger than females of equivalent stature and mass. This is undeniable, and many more biological statistics can be found in Independent Women's Competition Report. I was so pleased to be at the White House on February 5th when President Trump signed the executive order entitled Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports. Finally, we saw a president act to make sure that sports competition for women is fair and safe. Now we need laws at the state level that define women and keep women's sports safe for women. Today, there are 27 states that have legislation protecting women's sports, and more than a third of the nation also defines sex-based words across their state laws. All 50 states should have this sort of legislation. I'm so proud of the progress.
Payton, this was May 2025. Since then, there has been a historic Supreme Court decision that was on June 30th, 2026. So a year after you gave that testimony, the SCOTUS did something wonderful. In Hecox v. Little, BPJ versus West Virginia, the Supreme Court said what we all knew since the beginning of this fight, that men cannot just declare that they are women and have it be so. The Title IX was a binary based on male and female, and it was created to protect females in their sports and also their opportunities in colleges, universities, and K through 12 education. So how did it make you feel when you heard the news that SCOTUS had reached its decision and it was absolutely the best decision that we could have hoped for with the cases that were before them?
Yeah, this whole case was just like, it's insane that it even had to go to the high court to determine what we've all known from like the dawn of time. So it was kind of like it was a weird situation at first because we didn't really know which way it was going to go, which is insane. It should be like the easiest case I've ever heard of all time, but that was the reality of it. And we had 3 women go against these bills, which is just also insane to me. But I'm very thankful that it ruled the way that it did and common sense did prevail, because all of that hard work that we've all done with these 27 states so far that have, I think it might be 28 now, that have some sort of legislation passed to protect women's sports, and all of that would have been taken away if it wouldn't have ruled this way. And, my biggest thing was we were at the rally and we saw just the mentally ill side of the aisle who is just coming for us with every breath, and they don't even know what they're talking about, and they're fighting against women. And it was so sad to see them want that so badly for us when we're the ones that are begging to have a basic human right of just safety and an equal playing field and all these things that we fought so hard to even have, and now we're completely going backwards. So I always thought that was really interesting, the fight on what was in the Supreme Court, because they weren't even ruling that all the states had to protect the women and girls. They were just ruling on if we were allowed to have these protections in our state. And I'm very thankful that we are, and that we can keep fighting to hopefully get every girl protected in every state.
Yes. Briley, you are 16 years old, soon to be 17. You're a volleyball player and soccer player in Monroe High School in Michigan. Do you remember watching Payton on TV? Did you see her when you were just a few years younger, before you had your own incident happen to you?
Yeah, and I think that like watching someone older than you and watching someone else go through it before you even go through it, that brought more fear even to me, thinking, oh, like that's something that should never happen to me or anybody else, especially her. And that like causes fear even now. Like I wasn't injured against the male athlete that I competed against, but that is obviously a possibility, and it should never even have to be like a thought that crosses my mind that may happen.
So when you were watching her, did you ever think that you could be put in the same situation?
I didn't think that. I thought it was crazy, and I just kind of thought it was unbelievable, and it was just going to be put to an end right there.
Yeah, but it didn't. And just last year, when you were competing against a team in Ann Arbor, the Skyline, you, unbeknownst to yourself, had been playing against a male athlete in volleyball and sharing a locker room with this biologically male athlete. This was something your parents didn't know, you didn't know, maybe there were rumors, but nothing confirmed. And then just late last year, I believe in the fall, it was confirmed that there was a male athlete, and you had been playing against this person. You described to me that at first, when you thought you weren't sure could be a girl, you compared yourself to this person and thought, they are so good. I could never be that good. You were discouraged because how high they could jump, how strong their spike was. Could you talk about that again?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I even competed against this person, and from there already, I'm the underdog. Like freshman on varsity, I'm nervous, like I don't want to make any mistakes, and I'm trying to be the best I can be and fit in. So when I see somebody amazing, I'm going to compare myself and think, wow, like I have a lot to live up to. I have a lot to work for. And then last year, when this was found out, it was kind of from there on just kind of like easy to see. It was kind of obvious, but because I never thought that I would be competing against a male athlete and that would have been allowed, I just kind of went along with it. And of course, I got down on myself because I do love the sport volleyball. I put hard work into it, lots of training, lots of dedication. And when I have never achieved that skill, of course, I'm just going to be discouraged.
Yeah. Now, Ella, you're from Wisconsin, like me, New Richmond, Wisconsin. You play volleyball. You're in track and field, long jump. And you got started in this activism when a biological male was allowed into your high school bathroom, and you and your parents, along with hundreds, if not thousands of other members of your community, realized that your school district had a policy that essentially functioned like Monroe, Michigan, or California, or policy in North Carolina, a policy that had redefined sex to include gender identity in its non-discrimination policy, thus making it possible for boys to participate in volleyball, track and field, and to enter the locker rooms and bathrooms. You have been speaking up against what happened to you and other girls in your school, and because you're trying to prevent what happened to Briley to happen to you or any other girl. How does it make you feel when you hear that Briley didn't even know it, but there was a male in her locker room for years? She had been competing against for years, and this secret was kept until it couldn't be kept anymore. I think the differences as males progress through puberty, just they increase and heighten. How does it make you feel, Ella?
It's disgusting. I think it's nasty, and it's also just almost like, I don't know, rude. Like, we're not that dumb. We're going to notice you, and it's unacceptable for you to be in our spaces. You have your own, go take on that. And if you really want to be this so much, go join a co-ed team or something, but there's no reason to take over our spaces. And I think it makes me want to fight even stronger to keep my community away from all that stuff and prevent stuff like this from happening, especially with all these younger girls coming. I have moms coming up to me, they're like, thank you for fighting, because I have so many granddaughters that are getting up there and I don't want them to experience something like this. And it just makes me want to fight for my community even more and get a policy laid down and show up to every school board meeting, reminding them, hey, we need this policy or else our community is going to fall apart. And I think that it's just another thing where girls shouldn't have to experience that fear. I mean, especially in high school, I could never imagine the girls in my grade or the freshmen, sophomores, whatever, on our volleyball team. I don't think, like, we're not obviously the best of the best. So we're going to get destroyed by a biological male. And it would just be a catastrophe if we had to compete against one, especially as like people that are obviously not like D1 college athletes. There's no way we're going to be able to take on that. And so I just hope that in the future we're able to get a policy laid down so none of this happens in our community.
And Payton, so Ella says, well, we're not the best of the best, but even the best of the best would be in trouble if they played against a high school biological male, because there are inherent differences in males and females. And so you could be the best of the best, Ella, and it wouldn't matter, because a biological male, even if he were an average athlete, hey, look at AB Hernandez, someone who would not even qualify for the track and field events on the male division. When he identifies as a female, he's running away with the championship. And that's why it's not fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't matter what she was saying. I mean, it doesn't matter what level you're at. I think that's like such a stupid argument that people try to throw at you, especially at your guys' level. I've heard that a lot because, this didn't happen when you were in college or when you were in professional sports. You were just in high school, so it doesn't matter. And it's just like, that's such a stupid argument and just a dumb thing to say, because it doesn't, you deserve equal opportunity in a fair playing field at every level. And it doesn't matter where you're at, to deserve that. And I think that's just something that's I don't think anyone's going to ever believe that. And I think everyone sees through that argument for sure.
And you're right. I read the comments to Ella and to Briley like, oh, it's just high school. Yeah. Oh, just let them play, be kind. You're not the best. This isn't the Olympics. But you're right. This is important to them. They both have stated that they intend to go to college playing a sport. Well, if they're going to get a scholarship, they're going to need to shine, and their team is going to need to shine. But with the presence of a male athlete, that limits their opportunities. That athlete takes away scholarships and awards and trophies. And I think the demoralization, Briley, all of you could comment on that. The demoralization, I think that kind of gets undercut in this argument, how demoralizing it feels to have an opponent that is kind of unbeatable for you.
Yeah, I think, with my team specifically, and I know y'all probably had to deal with this too, we had to practice differently to prepare just for this one guy. And I mean, the team wasn't even that good. They were only winning games because of him. So they were putting him up on this pedestal and using that instead of realizing that it was sick what they were doing. So we had to prepare just to play against this one dude. And I think that just says a lot in itself. We deserve, every girl on every level and every age deserves fairness and safety. And we're on top of everything else, none of that matters, because a man's feelings and his false reality is over all of that. And we've gotten reminded of that time and time again in every single way. And I think it's just it's getting to the point where girls and women, we're just tired of that feeling. We feel it in a lot of other avenues in everyday life. And this is something that women before us have fought so hard for us to have, so we can have a place and be able to succeed and work hard in the sport that we love. And we're getting told that we don't matter and you're not good enough. You need to try harder. And that's just, it's insane and it's sad. And it's the reason why, so many girls are not going to want to play sports anymore.
Now, Ella, I'm going to ask you, because you love volleyball, it's your passion. What are the differences between male and female volleyball? Do they have the same height for the net, or is it higher for males because they can jump higher, they're taller?
Yeah, it's higher for males. I think it's 7 inches or something, and they can jump insanely high. They move really fast. And we have this thing where we coach boys for like a buff league or whatever at school for homecoming week, and just watching them. They don't know what they're doing, but they have the power to just do whatever they want. Like they're able to hit it however they want, serve it like insanely fast. It's just like so dangerous. Like if a woman had to play against a male like that, it's just like insane. And like blocking, like not even a thing, because they're moving so fast and their ball is so hard that there's no way that you're able to block. And if you don't have your blocker, then your back row is like, they're cooked. Like they're getting it slammed into their head or straight on the ground. Like there's no way they're surviving the hit. And I just think it's crazy that Payton had to experience that, because I could never imagine being up on the net and trying to block someone, let alone pass their ball. Like that's just insane.
And so, Payton, you were injured. What's your response to what Ella just said?
Yeah, our coach, like we literally could not receive any of his spikes or his serves because they were just like completely different than any other girl that we went up against. They were so hard. They were just like, he had a whole other skill set that we obviously didn't have. And, you know, I got to learn very quickly why these accommodations are put in place. Why is the men's 7 inches higher than women's? Well, it's probably because their vertical is insanely more than ours, or that wouldn't have been in place. So it's just like, it's absolutely crazy. We were told by our coach, like, it was so impossible for us to even receive a ball that she said, just put a hand on it. Like, at least touch it. That's our goal for the game, is to just at least touch his ball. And that's really sad when that's your goal in a game. And, you know, when I was out, our freshman setter had to go in for me. And I was only a setter. I wasn't even blocking. I couldn't even touch the top of the net. So I was always on tips and right behind our blocker. And our blocker was telling our coach, like, what's the point of me even blocking? Should I just come down so we have a sixth person to try to receive this ball? But, you know, it was just a crazy situation. And we got to see, again, exactly why these accommodations are put in place to begin with.
And Briley, so you played against a boy. Did you have fear? Did you notice this difference? Did it make you nervous when he spiked the ball?
Yeah, so already before I even knew that this was a male, like I said previously, it was very obvious how much more advanced this player was. So I definitely had to lock in a bit more, like stress a little more of getting my hands up, because I am a middle and it's lots of blocking up there. And once I did find out it was a male, it was kind of like it changes the mindset. That's kind of all you think about the entire game, because you actually know that there are physical advantages that player has. So it definitely brought me more nerves and more fear.
Yeah. And in the same situation as Payton, this team with this biological male was not winning until this male came on. So this male's like win after win when they had a male playing. If you remove that player, then the team is just probably the same as most other high school girls teams, and then it's fair play. But with this male, there's this advantage, and it's just not fair. That's why in boxing, there is lightweight, medium weight, heavyweight. There are a lot of rules. The size of basketball. In all sports, there are differences between male and female, because just to make it fair. But even in the sex-based categories, there's different weights of class. When there's a sport that there could be harm or just really unfair advantage if they didn't make certain categories, because no one wants to watch someone just get beat. Like, no, a game isn't fun if it's 100-0. It's just is immoral. I think as humans, we look at that like, that's not fun. That's not competitive. We like to watch those games where you're biting your nails and you're wondering who's going to win. They're equally matched. You know, it's just going to be the skill. It's really not fun to watch someone get clobbered. And I mean, as athletes, and as a mom of athlete, you know, that's not fun either. My daughter plays basketball. You get 40 points ahead, you put in the JV team. You don't just keep like going, because it's just, it's not, you give some other players a chance. And that's the way I view this. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's not fair, and it's pretty much immoral. So now let's switch gears to talk about something that has been happening. Actually, before I do that, I do want to play a clip of both Briley and Ella in action because they do such a good job. Here's Briley talking about an issue we're going to discuss next.
My name is Briley. I'm 16 and I play volleyball and soccer. WNBA security told a mom and her daughter to cover up their XXXY shirts or leave the game because saying women are XX and men are XY is now offensive. The W in WNBA stands for women. Right now it feels like it stands for will not. Will not protect our sports, will not protect our spaces, and will not stand with the girls who are fighting for this every single day at the high school level. Sophie Cunningham is one of the few to say it. The rest of the league needs to catch up or stop calling it women's sports. We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for the category that was built for us to stay ours.
That's amazing. Agree 100%.
Yes.
Well
Yes,
said.
perfectly put.
Well said. And now I'm going to show Ella, who on Monday went and spoke to her school board, again, asking them to change their policy, to bring it in line with the Supreme Court decision. There is no Wisconsin statute that requires them to include gender identity. There's no Wisconsin law that requires this. This school district can absolutely change their policy, yet they refuse to do it. Let's listen.
Hello, my name is Ella Frei. I'm a senior at Richmond High School, and just wanted to talk about our last discussion. It felt like we were getting some progress, and progress was being made toward a solution. You said you wanted to find one and even schedule a special session on the 10th, then canceled it. From now on, when the women on the board take a bathroom break, I want you to bring every single one of the men here on the board in there with you. That's the discomfort I feel. That's the discomfort hundreds of girls in school feel right now. It's exactly how you have made every girl feel. The longer you delay putting real solutions on the table, the worse it gets for girls. You are no longer protecting us, and it's time you start. What is stopping you? Is it the lawyer? Is it time to question the advice you're receiving? This is a conservative district. You were elected to uphold conservative values. Right now, only 2 of you are fighting for those values, and that is deceptive to the entire community. We deserve better. The longer you refuse to act, the clearer it becomes that you are knowingly failing the girls in this district. That's all I had said tonight. Thank you.
What do you think of these girls, Payton, at such a young age, having such a strong voice?
Yeah, I'm just so proud of both of you. Like, I'm so glad I got to be on today with both of you so I could tell you that. Because it's just been like, it's so encouraging to watch you both. And I think you both speak so nicely and so strong. And I definitely wasn't speaking like that when I first started out. So I just want to say, like, I'm just so proud of both of you taking it on at such a young age. And it's such a big thing and a lot comes with it. And I think you should both be very proud of yourself, and I'm glad. I feel bad, and I hate that it happened to you, and I hate that this is why we're meeting. But I am thankful, nonetheless, that we've got to know each other through it all.
I know these girls well. I am so proud of both of them. I think their future is bright, just like yours. You're still a youngin' to me, Payton. I think the 3 of you all just give me so much hope for the future, knowing that they're strong women. We hear a lot about the woke women, and I think I'm so proud to platform and highlight this team sanity here. Good women who they're strong, they're powerful, but they're feminine, and they know what a woman is, and they're willing to fight for women. They're actual feminists, not these pretend ones like in the WNBA that really just can't even define what a woman is. So before we start about the most recent controversy where a mother and daughter are told to cover up their XXXY gear, while at the same time there's other activists wearing pro-trans gear and they're put on the Jumbotron. Let's first talk about something that has just gone absolutely viral after Sophie Cunningham infamously said the obvious. Let's watch this.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
So, unless you've been living under a rock, you must not be aware. But if you actually like look at social media at all or turn on the news ever, then you know that Enes, Kanter, Freedom, and Royce White, both former NBA stars, have declared for the 2027 WNBA draft. They have, according to Royce White, he has said sometimes identifying as a woman for purpose of basketball, and Enes Kanter Freedom stating that the rules say that identifying and declaring as a woman is enough. So they are forcing this issue. They are calling out the WNBA, and I congratulate what they're doing. I know, Payton, you and I had discussed this scenario. The first person I heard talking about it was Clay Travis, like, hey, you know, former NBA players, now's your chance. You can get back in. And everyone laughed it off. But I think I applaud these two because they are forcing a national conversation that the WNBA has been trying to avoid.
Absolutely. What they're doing is they're exposing the hypocrisy of this whole argument. You can see that by the reaction that they're getting. And I'm just so thankful that they're doing this because it's really just, it's giving the WNBA exactly what they asked for. And it's forcing them to put their money where their mouth is. I mean, if anyone can just declare that they're a woman, then who are they to say that these two new beautiful women are not as much as a woman as the other ones that are faking it? I mean, if no one knows what it is, then how can they determine that these guys aren't real women?
Yep. Your take, Ella.
I think that it's a little funny, but also like, hey, you wanted this? Like, if you're going to say that if I'm a woman, I have my gender identity, whatever, here you go. Like, he identifies as a woman, so he's going to play you guys and see exactly what you are asking for. Like, this is who you want to compete against.
And your take, Briley.
I agree. It is funny to see that. People don't fully see like the whole story until it's actually obvious that it's a male and how much bigger and stronger they are. Like, if that follows through, it's just it turns the female like sports into like exactly like what you girls were saying. That's just kind of what they wanted. They're just not having any specific guidelines or like rules for that. It's just if you claim that you're a female, then go ahead and play in the female sport, which clearly they aren't female, but I think it's great that they're really proving this and making it obvious that this is a joke.
Yeah, I mean, you watch here, there's another, let's put on another clip because kind of watching some of this, looking at the difference in height, even because, I mean, the WNBA women, I mean, they're tall. They're tall, they're strong, they're amazing. Standing next to the NBA players, though, they almost look like hobbits. And there's a difference between men and women.
It's official. I just declared for the 2027 WNBA draft in April. Join me in this journey.
Enes Kanter Freedom decided he's going to throw his hat into the WNBA.
The WNBA does not ban men who identify as women right now from playing in the league.
He would dominate the WNBA without batting an eyelash.
The number one prospect in the history of the WNBA.
There's one more video. This, again, goes to show the differences between males and females.
I am woman, I am fearless, I am sexy, I'm divine, I'm unbeatable, I'm creative, honey, you can get in line, I am feminine,
We laugh at that, but it's true. This guy, Enes Kanter Freedom, if he simply declares that he's a woman, puts on a wig, paints his nails, there is nothing stopping him from playing on the WNBA team. And if he were 17 and in Monroe or in New Richmond, there would be nothing stopping him from playing on the women's basketball team, the women's track, the women's soccer, women's volleyball. He would absolutely, just the declaration, I am a woman, I feel like a woman, is enough. And it's insane. So again, let's go through reactions. Your reaction, Payton.
So I actually kind of work with Enes, and so I've gotten to be around him before, and he is literally ginormous. This guy is huge. So I would just to see this in real time. It sounds like a joke in a big play or like a cartoon or something, but it could actually be happening. And the fact that the WNBA has had to have a meeting because of this to determine, is Enes Kanter Freedom a real woman or not? Because they do not know, and they could not give us an answer even after their special meeting. So, it's funny, but it's also this is real life, and it's kind of scary.
It is scary that it's real life. Your take, Briley.
I think this just kind of brings female sports and makes it just not female sports. And those videos that you just showed us, I think they're hilarious. I'm giggling to myself. It's so funny, but the fact that this is even up for discussion on whether or not these men are allowed to join the WNBA is crazy. It should just be an automatic no. It's just obvious.
And my daughter plays basketball. She's been playing basketball since she was 4 years old on little rec leagues. And I think what he's doing is necessary to expose the idiocracy that is happening. However, it is sort of at the this women's sports is becoming a joke, and it's not because of Enes, it's not because of us, it's because of the woke. It's because they are unwilling to say what they know is true, that biological men should not be competing, especially at such a high caliber competitive level. But I don't care if it's elementary school, middle school, high school, there should be, it should be okay to have sex separated sports and sex separated categories. What do you think, Ella?
I think going off of what you said, another point of view of these videos is it's so cool to see men speaking up, because obviously the women are not being heard, and the women on the WNBA don't even know what a woman is. So it's kind of inspiring to see big, giant, huge, tall men making jokes out of it, but also inspiring more people to speak up. And you don't have to be a woman to speak up for women.
Yes, exactly. And I'm going to pull up an image now. Here's who we've been talking about, Sophie Cunningham. And just remind everyone that in March 2026, in an ESPN interview that was published on July 21st. So this was something she was talking about in March, but it wasn't published till the 21st. Sophie said, and I quote, "I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men." She rejected that she hates trans, just like all of you have. This isn't about hate. She said that love also includes love of truth. She loves everybody, but she also loves truth. And that means affirming biological women and protecting young girls. After this aired and it became just a worldwide sensation, and she was loved and hated for this statement, she didn't back down. She didn't issue an apology. She didn't go on an apology tour. No, she doubled down and she stuck by her statement and said this is common sense and that she loves biological women and she wants to protect children. Since then, a lot of haters have been attending Indiana Fever games and booing and trying to distract. She's gotten a lot of hate. ESPN has some of their sportscasters have made derogatory comments. And while at the same time they elevate and praise WNBA coaches who make statements like this in Seattle, one of the co-owners confronted teens. They got fined and suspended. And in Minnesota, Cheryl Reeve wore a Trans Kids Belong shirt, and she prioritized inclusion and belonging. She even met Sophie at half court and, engaged in a discussion with her. And Sophie was very cordial about that. But it's been a firestorm. She has stood her ground. Briley, what do you think of Sophie Cunningham's statement? How has it affected you? And how do you feel by the fact that she continues to stand her ground and she hasn't caved to the woke mob?
I know that not only myself, but so many other female athletes, or just females in general, are so grateful and thankful for her speaking out, especially with how she's a celebrity now and all eyes are on her, and it's huge for someone like her to speak out. So I'm so thankful, and more people need to speak out like that, which also going off of that, I completely agree with what she's saying, obviously. And I think that it's a completely different story when people who are trying to transition start to affect female athletes and females in bathrooms, because there should just be privacy and safety and fairness, and that's all everyone's fighting for right now.
Now, Ella, both you and Briley have gone on Fox News, Newsmax, and you've discussed there are adults all over the country that want to hear your opinion on Sophie Cunningham. What have you said publicly, and what has her steadfast determination to stay true to herself and to stand by her word? What has that meant to you?
I think it's a very important message that she's speaking out about, and I think it's also really important that she does, because there's not literally anyone on the WNBA saying anything about it, and it's just really inspiring to see someone be able to speak out their mind and what common sense is. It is common sense. A boy shouldn't be in the girls team. Sorry, I had to say it, but we were all thinking it. And I think also it's just inspiring to a lot of young athletes like me, Briley, and so many more. It's a fight. You don't have to compete against them. You can speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up. There's so many people agreeing with you. And I'm just really grateful that Sophie Cunningham was able to share this at the peak of her career with all the lights on her, with that pointing meme, and she still spoke up about it.
That's a good point that Ella makes, Payton, that not only did Sophie Cunningham speak out when virtually no one else was, no professional female athletes, they punted, they wouldn't talk about it. They'd say, I don't want to be political. But so she's the first, but also she was fresh off of the pointing meme, defending Caitlin Clark, her teammate, a friend, and Sophie became famous for that. She was just defending the abuse that Caitlin was receiving on the court. And then there's that moment where she does the pointing. That meme is viral, billions and billions of views all over the world. And at that moment, this statement comes out and she stands by it. How do you feel about that as someone who has been fighting this fight for a long time?
It just means so much. And, she didn't wait until it was safe or easy, like Ella was saying. She said it right at the height of her career when it was taking off. She's quickly grown to being one of the most popular WNBA players. So for her to take on something as controversial and insane as this is, for some reason, that it just means a lot, and it adds a whole other layer on top of how special it really is that she's willing to take it on and to say something and to stand firm in it and not backtrack or, try to water it down like you were saying earlier. So I think, just having prominent players like herself be willing to speak up for truth, it just means a lot for women and girls and everyone who, I'm so sorry, all the little girls who look up to her. She's fighting for them and choosing them. And, what, like she was saying, she even goes down to the locker rooms. And I think that's such an important point for her to make. So I'm really hoping that this inspires other athletes to speak out. I'm not sure because of the reaction that it's gotten. They've tried to make an example out of her, but thankfully I think she's not cared about that at all and has had no interest in playing their political agenda game. And I think that I just appreciate that. It's refreshing. It's refreshing to see someone genuine and who actually cares about real important things and isn't completely brainwashed by this woke agenda that's been pushed so heavily on us all. So I really hope that this brings more women in the spotlight and speaking up for girls.
Yeah, she just turned 30 years old. There's a time that she has to play in the professional league, to get endorsements, brand deals. And what she did, it has a price. It has a price, and the fact that she's willing to pay it, not knowing, she had no idea that all of this support would happen. She had no idea where this would end up, but that she was willing to say, I'm not for sale. I think that's what has endeared her to millions. And I think there's a few haters out there, but again, I think there are a lot of paid activists. But there's a clip I want to bring where she talks about the boos that she was getting. So I'm going to bring this up in just a second here. Hold on, right here. Okay.
You know what? Yeah, I like where your mind's at on that.
I restart it.
You got booed a little bit tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
I was kidding.
Especially
I know.
in the talk. It was because of the ketchup chips.
You know what? Yeah, I like where your mind's at on that. Maybe I should try. I heard I was supposed to try a different brand. So, but you know what? I will tell you, I want to shout out the Tempo crowd in the city. I think we've had so much fun. It's my first time being in Canada. It's a lot of our first times being in Canada. But the crowd was absolutely amazing. And, I think that's what sports is all about. You're going to get boos, you're going to get cheers. But just the fact that they're so passionate, they're loud, and they're putting on for the city, I think it's amazing. So shout out to you guys for coming out and supporting.
So that's that attitude that she has, staying positive, not going low, taking the high road, really showing love of game. And I mean, she's just a great example, I think.
Yeah, I think she's a class act. I think the way that she acts and she answers everything, and just the way she's been moving through this whole thing, it just adds on to how inspiring she is to younger girls. And I don't think we could have had a better role model, honestly, like out of all the women that we've seen so far. I mean, so many of these other players and other coaches have said that they would welcome this in, and they encourage everyone to be inclusive and welcoming of these men. So I think they should welcome back to Enes Kanter freedom. They should welcome him. And if they don't, then they are as bigoted and transphobic as the rest of us. And I just think that Sophie Cunningham is my new hero, and I love her. And I think I have already ordered my Sophie Cunningham jersey, so it'll be here soon.
And Ella, what has what she done, has that had a positive impact for you? Hint, yeah, I know it has, because I was at the rally that we held just a few weeks ago in Wisconsin, in your community, which borders Minnesota, where with only 1 week's notice, over 400 people showed up. There were kids, nearly 100 kids your age and younger. There were moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas, Riley Gaines, Rachel Campos Duffy, Turning Point Action. They all came out, and this was a rally to support you, and also to say we're with you, Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah, and I wore my Sophie Cunningham shirt to it. I said what I said. I just love what she says. It's so empowering, and they're such short messages, but they have so much meaning behind them. Like, I said what I said, deal with it or like move on, you know? And I think she's a really positive person. And like Payton said, I don't think there's any WNBA star I would rather watch stand up than her. She's so young, beautiful, and inspiring. And I just wish I could be more like her.
Well, I think that you're showing a lot of courage. She is 30. You are very young and started at 16. And I think she would commend that you're standing up for what you believe in at such a young age. And she would say of you that she wishes she was like you when she was her age. I can guarantee that would be something that she says. But Ella, do you find that with her speaking out, you speaking out, we had Payton, we had Riley, they're the OGs. Do you think it's getting easier for girls your age to finally find their voice and say, maybe they're not as public as you, but they're finally saying, no, I'm not going to go along with this. This is wrong.
Yeah, I think if I didn't have like really strong role models to look up to, I don't think I would have spoken up at that school board that one night. Like I've been watching Charlie Kirk and Riley Gaines like my whole childhood, whatever, growing up. And it's just common sense, nothing more political, but like just more what I believe in. And I just had so many things I agreed with when they would speak. And it was just, it's nice to have someone to look up to and kind of almost like shadow, watch their videos, understand stuff a little bit more. Because obviously you don't know everything. And that was kind of me. I didn't know everything. And I just think having a strong role model is really important if you are trying to speak out. Because you can also like watch like how they handle situations and stuff like that. And I'm really grateful that I had role models. And I think if people are wanting to speak out, I would find someone online that empowers them and gives them confidence to do it and not be afraid of things, because there's a lot of things to be afraid of in life, but sometimes you just got to do it anyway. And then you realize it's not that bad.
And Briley, for you as well, I don't know. I think you have a little bit of news because you're going to be going somewhere on Friday and you're going to be somewhere very special on Saturday. Why don't you tell us about that and why this event is so important to you?
So my father and I are flying out to New York Friday, and we're going to be attending the Indiana Fever basketball game and a rally. And they're also having the people from Icons are making a documentary, and they want my story in it. So I'm really excited to share my story and help pursue that and help get my word out there more and everything like that. It means a lot to me because I'm really excited to see Sophie in live action and then just meet a lot of other people.
Yeah, like-minded people. So you're going to be there at an Indiana Fever game in New York with your dad, and hopefully when you wear your XXXY, they won't tell you to cover it up. So we're gonna come full circle and end with that. But so what are you prepared to do? What happens if they come up to you and your dad? Have you talked about it? If they say, nope, got to take that XXXY shirt off, that's political.
I haven't really talked about it with my father yet, but just right now, I obviously wouldn't like listen to them. That's not right, and I'm gonna hold my ground, and they're gonna have to force us out. You know, we're going to the game for a reason. I'm going all the way to New York, and there's no problem with saying a guy is like one way or another. You know.
Yeah, it's not controversial to say that men should not be competing in the WNBA. The W does stand for women, not woke, not for, I like, that's kind of what I say. The W shouldn't stand for woke. It stands for women. It's a women's league. If not, then why didn't they all just try out for the NBA? Would they get a spot? No, they absolutely would not, unless they completely change the standards. But I'm super excited for you to be able to see Sophie in action and to be with Icons. They're a great group, and I'm excited to see your pictures and videos and all of that fun stuff. Payton, what do you think about the most recent controversy that happened over the weekend where a mom and daughter they're in Georgia, and there was a lot of Moms for Liberty moms out there having just a little rally like is happening before all these Indiana Fever games, and they're wearing XXXY, and they're told cover up, while at the same time other activists are wearing shirts that, trans lives matter or whatever, and they're on a Jumbotron. That's not political. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's sick. I mean, this mom and this daughter paid $1,000 each to have these tickets to be able to go to this game, and they should be able to wear whatever they want to wear. It's a free country, and they should be able to exercise their rights. And I think, the Fever coming out and pointing, doing the Sophie finger. I think you said that, Scarlett, doing the Sophie finger at the WNBA. Saying that wasn't them, that was the league making them do that, and that just points it right back to the league and how unserious they are and completely against women. But I was actually going to go to that game, and now I regret it so much because I would have pitched a fit if they would have told me to cover mine. And hopefully this starts like a whole thing where we get more and more inside the arenas for every game, and hopefully they won't be able to tell that many people to cover up their shirts. But it's insane, and it just exposes again the hypocrisy of this argument that the WNBA doesn't like politics and they don't want to be political or make controversial statements, because that's just completely not true. It's just whatever goes against their agenda, that's what they don't want to spread, and don't want people recognizing that.
And Ella, what do you think? You're wearing your XXXY gear right now. How would you feel, you and your mom, who I love if she's there. Hi, Heidi. You and your mom are going to a WNBA game, which you nearly were able to go, but you had your surgery, but you're going to go again. You were invited. You were going to go to the game in Chicago, but you needed to get that surgery done so that you can get well and start competing again. And you'll be there one day. But how would you feel? You're at a game, you're wearing your XXXY, and suddenly you're told you have to leave or cover up what you're wearing.
I think it's crazy, especially because it's like these are the chromosomes. Like, what? There's nothing to it. It's biology. Like, why am I having to cover up? And I think it also, like, everyone else is wearing whatever they want, and they're wearing these crazy shirts. They're going on Jumbotron. It's so biased. Like, you're telling me they can wear all of this that is, endorsing one group, but I can't wear something that's just the truth.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense.
Yes. XXXY. These are chromosomes. You're right. That's it. And yet they're so afraid of that statement. I think that shows, again, the oh so tolerant, progressive, woke left that claim that, they want belonging. No, they don't. They are not about inclusion. They're about exclusion. They want to exclude your views, my views, and they participate and champion policies that would absolutely end female sports. Because Payton, let's say Enes Kanter Freedom, like, he's doing this to make a point. He's a good guy. He's a good guy that actually does the right thing to the extent that he has paid a price for standing up for what he believes in, a heavy price. He's willing to do it. But let's say there's another guy that isn't a good guy, that's just one that wants to make some money, that wants to get some deals. And he actually does want to play in the female category and basically just stand there with his arms up and block every shot, a little nudge and girls could go flying across the court. I have a daughter who plays basketball, and there would be serious injuries to girls. This is extremely physical basketball, as we see in the WNBA. It's very physical. You play soccer, Briley, very physical. And as we saw even in volleyball, that ball spiked to the head of a girl could cause a lifelong effect, as Payton has lived. She's a testament to that. This could be happening for real. What are they prepared to do? What is the WNBA going to do? Payton.
I don't think the WNBA is prepared for anything. I think that this issue is inevitable. So I think them exposing it and trying to be proactive instead of reactive means a lot, and they should appreciate that instead of waiting for something to happen and then experiencing the backlash from them allowing it then. So if they want to put this to rest and they want to put such a silly or distracting argument away, then why don't you just clearly make the statement? If they would clearly just explain what a woman is. I mean, by the way, what are they so afraid of? The WTA and the IOC, these big leagues or organizations have already put it to rest and have already said there will be a one-time genetics test that is just a cheek swab, like the easiest thing they could ask from you. And they've done it and they're doing just fine. So why can't the WNBA do it? And, you know, I played basketball. It's very, very physical. So it's going to be very obvious when a guy is on the court. There's a trans athlete in France that Outkick reached out to asking if they would ever want to be in the WNBA. And he said that it has always been a dream of his. And if he was ever asked, then he would be so excited to be in the WNBA. So they should welcome him in with open arms like they've been saying they would do. The coaches like Cheryl Reeves, back to that, she's just on one hand complaining that there's too many men coaches around. And then the next hand, she's saying, like, inviting the men in, the men can come play, the men can come coach. And I think there should be a transgender coach take her place.
That's very interesting that she's complained that there's too many male coaches, and at the same time, I'm all about inclusion. I'm all about inclusion. I don't think basketball should be excluding. Well, of course basketball excludes. I mean, there's a cut, okay? You girls know this. Do you just get to walk on the varsity team, or do some people get excluded? You have to have skills you work very hard for. In competitive athletics, there is exclusion. There are cuts made, and it's not to be unkind. It's just because in order to be competitive and to win, and that's what girls want to do. How does it make you feel? These are final question. How does it make you feel, Briley, to sort of be mansplained like you don't want to win, that you just view sports as a way to be kind and to, braid each other's hair, I guess, and sit around and talk and have slumber parties. I mean, do you participate in soccer because it's just a fun free-for-all, like a big slumber party, or because you're competing in a sport that you love and you want to win?
I think that some people find the excuse that, oh, this girl doesn't want to go to college. They don't all want to go to college. They're not going to take it serious. It's just a high school sport. They're just doing it for fun, which, yeah, we do it for fun, but not with the consequence of being nervous and the fear that a guy is watching you 24/7 or across, like, the court. It's just, like, it's just not comfortable, and it breaks my heart to see that people are using us having fun with our sisterhood as an excuse of saying, oh, it's fine, just throw a boy in there. It's not sisterhood if you're having a male competing with you. It's not a female sport. If they're with you or they're on the other side of the court, it's going to go on a downfall. And that's what we're fighting for. We want it to stay female sports.
And Ella, final question. You have talked about, I think when I talked to you, it was the first time I really heard it phrased this way. And I thought it was really important that the camaraderie that you feel, the amount of time that you spend together with your female team, early morning, late nights, and bus rides, all of that, and how uncomfortable it would make you if there was a boy included in all of this. You've talked about bathrooms as a place where girls go to cry, where they go to take a breath, adjust their makeup, just sort of like maybe just it's almost a social space, which is why the meme like girls go to the bathroom together exists. How do you feel that boys being included in female spaces and in their sports, how does that violate all of that?
Well, it violates your privacy, your safeness. Like, there's so many possibilities and outcomes that can come with it, especially as men having their men desires, especially young girls. And since there's like a K through 12 policy, that means young girls, like elementary school girls, that it's okay if a male goes to the bathroom with them. It's just scary. And also, like, women are already uncomfortable enough sometimes. Like when you're going to the bathroom and you're trying to do your business and there is a male in the bathroom with you, I could never imagine having to do my business, or if it's that time of the month, like you are quiet as you can be, and having a male in there just violates all of that, especially as young girls as they come into the high school. That's not what they don't deserve to be welcomed in with a male. They deserve to be safe and comfortable in their own school. And the fact that my school is like throwing all these young girls that are to come out of the way and focusing up on this one person and his feelings, it's just disgusting. And they say that they want safeness for every student in the school, but clearly not if you're misplacing hundreds of girls for this one student.
Yep. And Payton, your final words.
Yeah, I would just say everything that's going against, like every conversation that was just had, their arguments against us are so demoralizing and just like so demeaning of everything that we've fought for. I mean, these are basic human rights that we can have, and it's okay to have. Like, I don't think that's crazy to ask. It's literally the bare minimum of what we're fighting for. And I think for them to just constantly use this excuse that, you know, girls don't actually care or they're not going to go to college or whatever, like putting us down and just acting like we don't matter and our sports doesn't matter and we don't actually care, so we would be willing to just take it and accept it. And I think clearly women and girls everywhere are tired of taking it, and I think we see right through that. So I feel really good about where we're at. I think more and more people every day are willing to say what's true, and we're just going to all keep pushing until everyone is willing to admit what they already know deep down.
Well, girls, this has been a great conversation. I'm so glad that we could all get together and talk about this, what's happening, especially as school is starting. For some, it's already started. For others, it will be starting very soon. And these are, again, conversations that we are having, especially as the midterm elections are approaching. There are governor's races, there are congressional races, there are state house races, there are Senate races. All the outcomes of these races are going to help determine the future of protecting women and girls. And so these issues are on the ballot. And I hope that if you're watching this, that you look at these young ladies, and when you vote to protect them, that you consider the fact that don't vote for somebody who doesn't know what a woman is, who would allow Enes Kanter Freedom to play on the WNBA team, because if they don't have enough common sense to understand that there's a difference between males and females, if they don't have enough common sense to understand that men and boys should not be in little girls' bathrooms, then they should not be running a dog shelter, more or less, this country. So thank you, girls, ladies, young ladies, for being on. It's been great. I look forward to talking to you again really soon.
Thank you so much.
I am woman, I am fearless, I am sexy, I'm divine, I'm unbeatable, I'm creative, honey, you can get in line, I am feminine.
I mean, seriously, it could happen. Why couldn't he be playing for the WNBA in 2027? I mean, they had a conference. Let me see, looking through my notes. Yeah, August 12th through the 13th, the WNBA task force of team presidents and general managers meet. And guess what? They couldn't decide on eligibility rules. They did issue a statement that denounced the bad faith efforts and says that there's no immediate eligibility crisis that really matters. So it still says players who are women, but it refuses to define what a woman is. And of course, you have folks like, let's see, you have folks like Cheryl Reeve, the Lynx coach, wearing her trans kids belong shirts. You have coaches that say that they're not educated enough to understand whether or not a quote trans woman, aka a man, is really a woman. I know there are ways you can figure these things out. Oh my gosh, it's just shocking. It's shocking. And again, I'm all for it because you have to mock these people. They have to be forced to live in the world that they have created. And is it going to take a guy like Enes, who's just simply standing in front of the basket like this? And like President Trump said, just win, blow everyone away with your one male player. Imagine you have more. Make it completely unfun to watch. Is that what's going to be needed? I think it is. I think it's time. It's time to put up or shut up. Either a woman is anyone who says, I'm a woman, or they're not. And if, what is a woman? The WNBA, what does the W stand for anyway? Is it woke? Because I think that that's what some seem to think it is. But again, I've said this on social media. They don't actually believe this. This is virtue signaling. And they just got caught. They got caught in their virtue signal. Oh, I'm not about exclusion. Oh no, we're all about belonging here in the WNBA. I don't want to talk that. I'm all about inclusion. Oh, well, Enes is like, do you include me? And suddenly they're like, wait a second. We said that. We didn't actually mean it. We didn't actually think that there'd be, former NBA players that would actually want to play. We were talking about we were talking about the guys that aren't interested in sports at all. We support them in theory when they say they're a woman, but no, we were just virtue signaling. It's just like, wink. We're just showing what good people we are. We don't actually mean what we say. They don't actually think that there isn't a difference between a male and female. Their actions, because if they did, then why are they playing for the WNBA? Why not go for the big bucks? Get on an NBA team. So I think that calling out all of this nonsense in the way that has happened since Sophie Cunningham on July 21st made the bold and courageous statement that I think that biological men shouldn't play on the teams of biological women. So, in these competitive sports, I think that males shouldn't go into the locker rooms and shower rooms of females. Yeah, that super controversial extremist statement, that common sense statement that even Democrats agree with. I just watched this great interview with Mark Halperin, where there was a young woman on there who was a big fundraiser for the Democratic Party. And she's like, she's not for Trump, she's not a Republican, but she's like, it's the woke stuff is immoral, it's demoralizing, it's ridiculous, and I'm not going to participate in it anymore. It's supported by the tricksters, it's supported by debutantes with their, trans kids. They're billionaires and they have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. And they've not, their kids are like not all there and they're all identifying as trans. And so they're like, oh yeah. A friend of mine said to me yesterday something that I've heard said before. by Jordan Peterson, by, I believe, Helen Joyce, that these women have to believe this stuff now. The women who have transitioned their children, whether socially or medically, particularly those who have done so medically, they have to believe. Otherwise, they're monsters. If this gender ideology stuff isn't real, if the category of woman isn't just a declaration, I'm a woman, I said it, so it's so, I wished upon a star. If that's not true, then these women are monsters who medicalized their healthy children, removed body parts, made them sterile, kids that will never experience sexual function. And worse than that, kids that are going to have to deal with disease and medical conditions that they absolutely would not have had to deal with had they not been on puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicines and all sorts of cocktails of medicines that they have to take because of all the side effects from the surgeries and the hormones and the drugs. Would be really tough to look yourself in the mirror as a parent if you championed this and then discovered that you were completely wrong and had to admit it. So the more kids that are medicalized, the more you have entrenched parents and entrenched interests and doctors, nurses, therapists, teachers, administrators who do not want to admit that what they did had catastrophic consequences. So they're dug in. But that doesn't mean that you have to be, you can declare for teen sanity and prevent more tragedy and more absurdity, absolute absurdity. So we were talking about fever games, and there is one Saturday, August 22nd, and this so we were talking about these rallies that are happening at Indiana Fever Games, and there's one planned for Saturday, August 22nd, Fever at New York Liberty Barclays Center. And the game is at 7:00 p.m., but there are rallies. And by Moms for Liberty, New Jersey, there's going to be a rally outside. So if you are in the area, or if, like Briley and Sean, if you're flying in to see this game, please show up, show your support for Sophie, stand with Team Sanity, stand with moms that share your values, wear your XXXY gear, wear your Sophie Cunningham shirts, wear your Moms for Liberty gear, wear it all, like come out there and stand for truth, stand for girls, stand for women, be an actual feminist that is fighting for actual women and girls. This is strong moms, strong communities, and a strong future. My friend Alex, who you probably see on Newsmax and Fox News all the time, Alex Bauer, she has organized this rally with XXXY, Gen Say, and so be there. This is going to be great. Make sure that you're there. So my friend Alex, who I'm sure you have seen on Newsmax, on Fox News, she is going to be there. She is hosting this rally. So if you're in the area, you got to show up and stand strong. And yeah, it's going to be this Saturday. Go to the Moms for Liberty, our social media. We will have more information. So you can see at the bottom of the screen right there, at Moms #4 Liberty, And you can find more details about this rally. So if you're in the area, you're flying to see this game to support Sophie, make sure that you bring your Moms for Liberty gear, your XXXY gear, your Sophie Cunningham gear, and you stand up and take some pictures and make sure that you send them to us, tag us, and we will put them on. So we would love to showcase the moms, the dads, the kids, the grandmas that are all standing for truth. That's what we stand for. We stand with you. And so let's do it, ladies, and moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas. Let's go. Let's show up. Let's not let these activists be the only ones showing up. Let's keep showing up. They can't kick us all out of the stadium. The more that are there, the stronger we are, stronger we look, and the bigger message that we send to America. And go Team Sanity. Do you ever feel like you're all alone? Maybe in your community, you feel like there's a lot of people that are my super secret supporters, but I feel kind of alone standing up and fighting all of this woke nonsense. Many parents feel like they're the only ones asking questions. They're the only ones standing up for their children. Moms for Liberty unites us. And our summit, the summit we have every year, is really a place where we come together, we stand together, and we feel that we are not alone. The Moms for Liberty National Summit brings together thousands of people who share the same concerns and values. It's an opportunity to find encouragement, community, and make lasting friendships. You hear directly from parents, from grassroots leaders, from elected officials, legal experts, policy advocates, and other national voices who have successfully navigated the challenges that many families are facing today. You walk away with practical ideas, solutions, and with inspiration. Summit is designed to equip attendees with resources, strategies, practical training that they can take back to their communities so they can affect change in their schools, in their towns, where it matters most, where they live, in their churches, in their neighborhoods, in the place that they call home. Advocacy can be exhausting. I know. Believe me, I know. It can be very exhausting. And sometimes you don't feel like the cup is half full. You feel like you're running on fumes. I have been there, okay? I've been there. I never ask of anyone anything that I have not done myself. I have recalled school boards. I have run for office. I have run campaigns. I have participated in campaigns. I have been a surrogate for Trump. I have spoken at many countless school board meetings, not just my own. I have been behind the scenes. I've been in front of the camera. I have testified. I have gone to congressional hearings. And now I have the privilege of being in the White House as a White House correspondent. I'm honored and I feel just blessed to be a representative for moms and dads across this country. But I started out in 2020, my hands shaking as I held my speech. P.S. I threw up in the bathroom before I spoke. I was that nervous. I had never done anything like that before. So I have been where you are. And I can tell you that you need encouragement. You need to be with your people. And the Moms for Liberty National Summit, that's the place where you can find your people. I will be there and I would love to meet you. And I would love to hear your story. And there are so many like me. There's so many more national leaders, state leaders, that they're not in front of a camera like I am, but they've been through the exact same things that I have and that you have, and they want to meet you. We all want to meet you. We want to be together face to face, not just like this, but actually like be in the same space and share stories. There are some great things cooking. I am a part of them. There are some people that I've interviewed that you will have the opportunity to see in person and meet, and you're going to really get a deep dive. And there's also sorts of cool things we're going to do. Like I am trying to make myself available. If you need some help with social media, I'll be there. Let me take a look. Let me help you. And if you are younger and really good at TikTok, hey, you could help me. We all have some learning to do. But again, advocacy can be exhausting. So Summit's a place where you can recharge, regroup, find your sense of purpose again. That is the number one thing I hear at the end of Summit, that I feel energized. This gives me that shot of adrenaline that I need to keep fighting. And this summit is in October 8th through 11th. And if we're all going to need a little recharging because the midterm elections are right around the corner. And so this is going to be a good place for you if you are active in your community locally, if you're active in your state, if you're active in national, all of that. This is the place to be. Or if you're thinking about it, if you're just thinking about it, come see what it's all about. Bring your family. It's going to be great. One of the greatest values of Summit is relationships and relationship building. You will meet your new best friend. It's happened to me. I know it will happen to you. So be there. And if you regularly listen to this show, I'm going to be live with Unleashed, walking around with my microphone, talking, hearing your stories, telling stories. I would love for you to tell your story to me, but you can participate in a live Unleashed. That would be kind of great, wouldn't it? You know, I've never done that before. So join me on my journey. I think it'll be fun. You know, I'm just a shy wallflower. That's me. And you're going to meet a lot bigger names than me. Okay, we can't release all of it yet. We're starting to release some of them. Watch our social media every day. We are releasing more. We've got the great Jen Turner. She is putting these speaker announcements out so fast, and you're going to love it. You're going to learn so much. Many parents spend all year investing in someone else, in other people. Then they have to go home and they invest in their families. This is a time where you get to recharge and invest in yourself a little bit and your growth as a leader, as an advocate, as a spouse, as a parent, as a community member, and as a friend. So this is a great place for you. Whether you are deeply involved or you're just thinking about it, trying to understand what's happening, you know, I've been in this space, in this world for many years now, but every day there's somebody new. There's a parent who's discovered that there's a policy that allows a boy in their girl's bathroom, and this is all new for them. So if you're one of those people, coming to the summit is a place where you can learn more. If you are really interested, this is where you need to be. Summit helps people see the bigger picture and where they can make a meaningful difference. And again, like I've said, you get to walk away with these important tools. And then friendships and business cards. And let me tell you, you're going to meet lawyers, you're going to meet policymakers, you're going to meet nonprofits, you're going to meet people in the education space, you're going to meet, you know, groups, leaders of groups, that they're going to give you their information, say, call me if you need anything, and they will pick up when you do. because these are people that genuinely care. Go to momsforliberty.org, find out all that you need to know about Summit. It's there. You can also watch clips from past summits, and there's some great ones. Really think about it, consider it, especially if you are in Texas or an easy drive. Let's do it. And right now, if you're interested in going, book a flight and do it. Just do it. Share a room with a couple people and make it a fun girls trip. It's going to be a great time. So I hope I see you there. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. This was a really special show with 3 very special girls. I want to thank all 3 of them, Payton, Ella, and Briley. Thank you for standing up. At your very young age, you have shown more courage than most adults will ever show in their entire lifetime. Adults created this problem, and you are creating a solution. And for that, I honor you and commend you. And anyone watching this, you need to follow Ella, Payton, and Briley. You need to do it. And you should also join Moms for Liberty at momsforliberty.org. The moms and Moms for Liberty, they stand with these girls. We stand with these girls. We are fighting with them every day, fighting with their moms, fighting with their dads, fighting with their... And while you're at it, you should join Moms for Liberty at momsforliberty.org. We stand for truth, and we stand with these girls. A league that can't define woman, that can't say that the W stands for woman, a task force that they created that met for 2 days and produced nothing, because they are more beholden to a political ideology than they are the truth. They aren't feminists at all. How dare they even say that word? They are not feminists. They are not protecting women and girls. They are protecting their own hide. They don't have the courage of Sophie Cunningham or Ella Frei or Briley or Payton or Riley. They don't have that kind of courage. They wilt. For some reason, they can't say the obvious thing. They just can't. That's the question, why? What's stopping them from telling the truth? Then we have a mom and daughter that wear a shirt with chromosomes on them. XX, XY. Nope, cover it up. That's hate. That's hate. All the while, a shirt with trans lives matter or trans women are the most beautiful women, aka boys are the most beautiful women. That gets on the Jumbotron. Oh yeah, virtue signaling, not virtue, woke virtue signaling. We have a Supreme Court that has answered this question. So those who love democracy and claim that they are fighting President Trump for rule of law, lies. They only care about democracy when people are voting what they approve of. They don't care about, they are for tyranny. And that's just a fact. The Supreme Court said that Title IX does not protect gender identity, that gender identity is not protected under the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. Hard stop. End of discussion. The Supreme Court said that states can interpret Title IX protections to include men and women, boys and girls. That's it. Don't need to include gender identity. They can. They should. And hopefully one day all 50 of them will. Payton lost her sport at 17, and she lost many other things when she had a spike to the head by a male pretending to be a woman. Permanent brain damage. Now she's recovering, but there are things that she has lost forever. And it was a very long, painful, grueling struggle just to achieve the amount of recovery that she has now for something that never should have happened. A boy should never have been allowed to participate in female athletics and have the opportunity to spike a ball so hard into the head of a 17-year-old girl that she gets knocked out, has a severe concussion and permanent brain damage. Imagine in basketball, we watch what happens to Caitlin Clark. We watched Sophie Cunningham in that terrible foul. We watch how aggressive it is. Imagine it's a male. I'm talking, no one's gonna get up. Sophie Cunningham will not shake off a foul by someone like Enes Kanter Freedom. If he were to play for real, she won't get up from that. No woman will get up from that. That is reality. Now, I don't think he wants to do that. He is a good guy, like I've said. He's trying to make a point. But if there was a bad actor, someone who doesn't care if he hurts women, who wants money more than anything, wants to be the first, what is going to stop a male, a powerful, strong male, from joining the WNBA? All he has to do is say, I'm a woman, paint his nails, grow his hair out, put on a wig, do like A.B. Hernandez, just start strutting around like thick, they can even have the beards now, FI. You can have the beard and say you're a woman. It happens all the time. Most beautiful woman ever, right? No. Ella lost her senior year to a lawsuit that she never asked for this. Briley had to share a locker room with a male, and no one told her parents. She could have been the next Payton Manning. Had it not been revealed and the outrage from parents, who knows what girl was going to be next? What girl was going to be in a hospital bed because adults are cowards. Not one of these girls hates anybody. Every one of them is asking for the same thing, for fairness. They're asking for the bare minimum. They are asking that the category that was built for them stays theirs, the female category. Biological reality is not bigotry. Protecting girls' categories and private spaces is the purpose of Title IX. That was reiterated by the Supreme Court of the United States on June 30th of 2026. The W in the WNBA needs to stand for women, not woke. And all of us need to stand up for women and girls, not men pretending to be them. This is Scarlett Johnson, Unleashed, presented by Moms for Liberty. Thank you for joining me, and stay in the fight. And stay in the fight. So tonight on Unleashed, we're going to stop pretending. 3 young women are on the show tonight who refused to stay silent, who refused to bend a knee, and who stood strong. And now they are recognized nationally and in their own communities. They have made so much changes